Carl Jung once said, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parent." But this burden isn't confined to childhood. It echoes through the hearts of modern men. We carry the silent weight of generations, men who never dared to confront the uncomfortable truths about women, intimacy, or their own emotional depths. They passed on their fears, not their wisdom. And now we find ourselves haunted not only by what they did, but by all that they refused to face. Jung saw something with chilling clarity. You do not perceive women as they truly are. You see them as your soul needs them to be. What you so often call love is not genuine connection. It's projection. This isn't a video about hate. It's not about blame. It's about waking up to the unconscious forces shaping your relationships, your heartbreaks, and your compulsions toward the feminine. Because until you become aware of these forces, you will keep mistaking your prison for freedom. You'll think you're choosing women, when in fact, you're being led by invisible patterns within you. Jung believed that within every man lives a hidden presence, the anima, his inner feminine. She is the embodiment of feeling, intuition, sensitivity, and soul. She holds the keys to the emotional realm. But here's where the danger begins. If a man does not become conscious of his anima, she doesn't disappear. She takes over. She projects herself onto the women he meets, not as they are, but as he longs for them to be. You meet a beautiful woman, and within minutes she feels like home. You think it's fate, you feel seen, understood, even saved. But Jung would call it psychic possession. You are not falling in love with her. You are falling deeper into your own unconscious. The anima whispers promises. She'll save you. She'll complete you. She's different. But none of it is real, because it's not about her. It's about you, chasing your lost soul through someone else's body. The anima isn't evil. She's powerful. She is the bridge between your mind and your soul. And if you ignore her, she will create chaos to get your attention. She appears in every obsessive attraction, every irrational heartbreak, every moment when you place a woman so high on a pedestal that you forget who you are. Jung warned, if you don't consciously engage with the anima, she becomes autonomous. She moves on her own. She becomes the seductress, the fantasy, the voice in your head pulling you toward blind devotion. You become like a moth to a flame, not because of her beauty, but because of your inner fragmentation. Real integration doesn't begin with rejection. It begins with recognition. When you learn to sit with your anima, to speak with her, listen to her, and know her, you stop chasing her reflection in women. Your energy changes. You stop begging for salvation through romance and begin the long descent into your own soul. Only then can you become a man who chooses love rather than one who is consumed by it. If you want to enslave a man, you don't need chains. Just let him fall in love with his own projection. You're not in love with her. You're entangled with a fragment of your own soul, one you've never dared to claim or even recognize. Her mystery captivates you not because it is rare, but because it mirrors your own inner confusion, your lack of clear purpose. Her unwavering confidence exposes the masculine energy within you that you've repressed, ignored, or forgotten. Her beauty isn't just skin deep. It echoes a profound buried longing inside you, a desire to become whole, to integrate the parts of yourself you've abandoned. You believe you love her, but in truth, you're in love with what she activates within you, the dormant qualities, the forgotten strengths, the unlived life. That's why her departure doesn't feel like a breakup. It feels like death. It's not just her leaving, it's a part of yourself slipping through your fingers once again. Because you weren't just dating her. You were dating a reflection of your lost inner self. Modern dating has devolved into a relentless cycle of unconscious projection, where both people silently agree to reflect back each other's ideal fantasies rather than confront their real, often painful emotional baggage. We don't seek connection, we seek affirmation of the stories we've told ourselves. This is why relationships feel so magical at first, but fall apart just as quickly. No one is truly seeing the other. They're only seeing their internal myth projected outward. You didn't fall for a real human being. You fell for a living symbol. And symbols don't call back, don't hold you when you cry, don't meet you in your mess. Projection often masquerades as destiny, but it's merely fantasy infused with desperation. When you cast your anima, the feminine image within the male psyche, onto a woman, you don't see her for who she is. You elevate her into something divine, a goddess, a muse, a healer. But she's none of those things. She's human, and the moment she contradicts your fantasy, disappoints you, reveals her flaws, the entire illusion implodes. And with it, so do you. Jung warned us, projection is not something we control. It rises from the unconscious like a tidal wave. And because it's so emotionally intense, so charged with meaning, we confuse it for divine guidance, for a spiritual sign. But in truth, it isn't sacred connection. It's emotional compensation. We assign our unlived potential, our unmet needs, and our wounded desires to someone else and mistake the glow for love. That's why you fall so quickly, so deeply for certain women. They're not magical. They simply mirror the sacredness you can't yet see within yourself. And because you don't recognize that inner light, it dazzles you when reflected in another. But the danger is this: until you learn to reclaim those lost parts, every relationship becomes just another mirror, shattering under the weight of your unmet self. It's not fate, it's a recurring pattern. Again and again you're drawn to women with the same emotional blueprint, distant, chaotic, self-centered. They fluctuate between warmth and coldness, pulling you close and pushing you away, keeping you in a constant state of emotional pursuit. They retreat when you set boundaries. They react when you show strength. They seem to disappear when you stand tall, yet cry when you finally walk away. Jung would call this a complex, a repeating emotional loop born from unresolved psychic trauma, often rooted in your earliest experiences of the feminine. Maybe it was the distant mother who never truly saw you, the teacher who shamed you for feeling, the first love who opened your heart and vanished without closure. Your conscious mind may not remember these stories clearly, but your unconscious remembers every frame. This is why healthy women feel boring to you. You equate calmness with disinterest, stability with dullness. Your psyche has been conditioned to call emotional volatility love. Until you confront that inner confusion, you will continue to reenact the same emotional wounds over and over, just with different faces. This isn't a coincidence. It's an interrupted initiation. You were meant to face these patterns, grow through them, and transcend them, not keep dating them in different dresses. The feminine you chase is not a woman. It's your wound, dressed up in beauty and lipstick. And no matter how many times you swear, she's different, your soul already knows the ending before the first text is even sent. Jung taught that the psyche endlessly repeats what it has not yet healed. Your so-called bad luck in love is not misfortune. It's your inner world screaming for your attention. It's your soul begging you to stop wandering blindly through your desires and start asking deeper questions. Why am I so drawn to pain? Why does my body mistake chaos for connection? What part of me still believes I must earn love through suffering? The moment you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this revealing about me? That's when the enchantment breaks. That's when the mirror becomes a teacher. That's when she stops being the answer to your pain and becomes a lesson you were always meant to face. The man ruled by his anima is emotionally unstable, easily seduced, and deeply spiritually hollow. He doesn't walk with purpose. He wanders, chasing wholeness through women. He doesn't lead. He pleads. He doesn't magnetize. He morphs to please. He isn't sovereign. He's impressionable, moldable, a blank canvas for feminine projections. This man becomes a toy for chaos. Addicted to highs of infatuation, crushed by the lows of emotional absence, he calls it passion, soul-deep love. Jung called it archetypal possession. Today we call it simp behavior dressed in psychological language. No woman can respect this man. She might use him, she might pity him, she might even keep him around for a while. But she will never surrender to him, because no woman can truly give herself to a man who is ruled by her image rather than his own essence. The anima-driven man isn't weak, he's unclaimed. He holds fire in his chest, but has no mission to ignite. So he lets women define his worth. He lets external approval shape his self-esteem. He waits to be chosen, never realizing he must first choose himself. He waits for love to complete him, not knowing the crown he seeks must be forged from within. He lives in spiritual dependence. He thinks romance will heal him, that sex will sanctify him, that closeness will finally calm the storm within, but it never does. Because he isn't truly chasing a woman, he's chasing transcendence. And until he realizes no woman can carry the weight of his unlived soul, he'll stay trapped in the same cycle. Infatuation, collapse, shame, again and again. Jung saw this pattern clearly. When a man lacks true initiation into his own being, he seeks it through the feminine. But she cannot initiate him. She can only reflect back whether he has done the work. Until he stops outsourcing his self-worth to the eyes of a woman, he will never become the kind of man she can fully admire. He will just be another shadow circling her flame, confusing warmth for love. Here's the truth that most men refuse to face. Women don't desire you. They desire what awakens inside them when they're in your presence. It's not about who you are, it's about what you represent. To a woman who hasn't yet become conscious of her own wounds, you'll either be a father she's trying to fix, a servant to her ego, a threat to her control, or a mirror for her shadow. Most modern women aren't looking for a partner. They're looking for an emotional drug, something to momentarily numb their disconnection from their own soul. And if you show up with real masculinity, anchored, present, grounded, they will either recoil in fear or rise to meet you. But they will never be indifferent. That's the test. If a woman is indifferent to you, it's because you haven't yet become sovereign enough to stir her unconscious. Most men believe they've simply been unlucky in love, that the wrong women came at the wrong time. But the truth is far more uncomfortable. Their misfortune was never external. It was internal. It was the unconscious, pulling the strings from behind the curtain, orchestrating the chaos they kept calling chemistry, the obsession they mistook for love, the projection they assumed was destiny. Carl Jung warned us of this deception long ago. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. This is not about blaming women. In fact, it was never about them. Women are not your salvation nor your enemy. They are mirrors, powerful, sometimes brutal mirrors, reflecting back the parts of you that you've exiled, abandoned, or denied. That deep hunger you feel, that ache for connection, for beauty, for emotional depth, it is not a call to pursue women. It is a call to return to yourself. The feminine you are chasing in the world is the same feminine you have disowned within. The chaos you try to manage in her is the chaos you refuse to hold in yourself. The longing you aim at her is the soul's longing for wholeness. And until you understand this, you will always be led, not by love, but by your wounds. Integration is not a poetic idea. It's a death and a rebirth. It's a man sitting with his emptiness until it no longer terrifies him. It's choosing to face the parts of himself that ache for validation, that collapse when affection is withdrawn, that become addicted to being desired. It is not romantic. It is sacred labor. It is shadow work. And no dating advice, no checklist of red flags, no charisma hack will ever replace it. You do not become whole by fixing women. You become whole by reclaiming every fragment of yourself that you've projected onto them. Your chaos, own it. Your longing, study it. Your heartbreak, let it break you open, not into pieces, but into presence. The woman you think you're looking for is not out there in the world. She lives inside the man you're avoiding becoming. That's the bitter truth Jung offered, and it still echoes with terrifying clarity. She was never the destination. She was the reflection. She was never the answer. She was the question, inviting you back to yourself. And when you finally stop seeking her eyes for your sense of worth, when you stop needing her approval to feel alive, something irreversible happens. The spell breaks, the grief begins, the illusion dies, and in its place, a man begins to emerge. Not the fantasy women imagined, not the puppet culture applauds, but a sovereign being, rooted, awake, whole. This man does not seduce, he does not perform, he does not orbit chaos or chase fantasy. He sees clearly, chooses wisely, and loves without losing himself. His love is not bait, his presence is not for rent, his soul is not available in exchange for temporary comfort. because now he no longer sees women as the source of his wholeness, but as companions on the path, equals, not muses, not mothers, not saviors, just people. And from this place of integration, of wholeness, love becomes something sacred again, something real. So if you're tired of heartbreak, confusion, and collapse, don't look to the world for answers, look inward. The woman you've been chasing is the echo of your own unclaimed feminine. And the man who can meet her? He's buried beneath the boy you're finally ready to outgrow. Let the work begin.